A common layout we see nowadays is a bungalow that has maybe 2 or 3 of these staggered peaks like this. So the first thing we want to do is we want to map out our roof line and add in our measurements so we know how many linear footage of lights we need. The next thing we want to figure out is what accessories do we need to go with that. So we start with figuring out first, where are we going to put our power and our controller? Makes the most sense to do this at one end or the other. And a lot of homes nowadays will have an outlet in the soffit, and this is a great opportunity to use that. So in this case, we're going to put the power and controller in this corner here. Now you have your power and your controller that hook into your basic T, with your power at the end of the T and your controller at one side. And typically you would just add your first string of lights to this side of the T. In this case, we're going to add another basic T onto here so that it comes up like this. This is now going to give us the opportunity to split that line of data into 2 lines of lights. So we will have one line of lights come across this lower level, and we'll have one line of lights to come up for the peak. We also want to take into consideration the space that we need between our controller and our first set of lights. So do we need to add any spacer cables to reach the first set of lights before we add in our second basic T? So when you add in the basic T, you're going to have one line of lights that runs across this way, one that comes up this way. Now our main level, like the horizontal section of lighting, is pretty straightforward. We can then just carry on our lights as normal for that distance of 56 feet. When we come up to the peaks, we'll run up the peaks, come down here, but now we have to get from the bottom of this peak to the next start of this peak. And so this is an opportunity that we can use for our spacer cables. And I'm going to guesstimate that this is probably in the neighborhood of about 15 feet. And then we can do the same on this one. And I'm going to guesstimate that's probably in the neighborhood of about 10 feet. Even if we had to go up to 20 feet here, we're still within reason to be able to use our spacer cables. With spacer cables, you have to keep in mind that we have a maximum of 20 feet that we can go with a spacer cable due to the way the data signal is sent. So if we have to send that data signal over a distance greater than 20 feet, we need to change that to an extender cable with a data booster. So that data booster will change the signal to be able to send over a longer distance and then changes it back to a suitable signal for the lights. But in this case, we don't need to worry about that. We have, 15 and 10 feet individually. So I would need, in addition to just the lights, the controller, and the basic T, I also need to make sure that I have 2 10-foot spacer cables and 1 5-foot spacer cables. Plus I need 1 basic T. And then because I have that extra basic T, I need 1 extra 3 to 4 wire.